Well, hello there. It is Friday, the 9th of December. It's just gone 7 p.m. Apologies for being a minute or two delay. I was having a nice natter with our guest, and we were kind of trying to give Kent a few extra minutes to turn up, but he's not turned up yet. So if somebody could, ring him up, wake him up from his slumber, because I'm sure that's probably what it is, and then he'll be able to join us. So in the meantime, we're just going to crack on. We've got an interesting show for you today, as it says in the title screen. It's our Synthy Christmas Buyer's Guide. So basically ourselves and our guest have compiled a list of things that we think you might like to find in your Christmas stocking, or you might want to suggest to your better halves that you might want for Christmas. I'm gathering that most people watching this show will be thinking about buying this stuff for themselves. But by all means, share the show to your lovers, your wives, your husbands, your significant others, whatever they may be, afterwards, and maybe they can get some hints and tips from this as well. So it's just a little bit of fun as we start to wind down before the festive period. Before we do that, and before we introduce our guest for the day, can I just remind you all, please, if you do like what we do, then let us know by clicking the thumbs up button, leaving a comment. You can either do so in the chat or underneath if you're watching on catch up. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to the show and hit that bell, and then that will help us build up a following and do all the algorithmic stuff. And of course, if you know somebody that wants to watch the show, maybe doesn't know that they want to watch the show, and you think they would, then share us. We don't mind being shared around. We're quite easy like that. So you can do that. Of course, if you want to keep in touch with us, you can do that through Twitter, through Instagram, YouTube and Facebook as well. And if you want to donate to us, by all means you can. There's a PayPal link just there. It's also in the description below. Or you can use YouTube, Super Chat and Super Stickers, because we're completely funded by our audience and we are super grateful. So I won't bang on about it anymore. Thank you very much to everyone that's donated so far and everyone that might donate in the future. If you have any questions for us, or if you have any suggestions as to what might make a nice synthy Christmas gift for the synth nerd in your family, be it yourself or somebody else, then prefix that question or that statement with a big capital Q, and it just helps us pick out the comments, and we can stick them into a little folder where we can then go and pick through and find them. So yes, if you do that, that would be fantastic. And of course, finally, if you want merchandise, and I've just realized I'm not wearing one, but then I've just looked down on the bottom of the screen, neither is anybody else, so I'm kind of let off simply by the fact that I'm not the only one. I was a bit of a rush tonight, so yes, you're just going to have to put up with my Weird Fish Pink or Shrimp Floyd Classics shirt tonight. But if you want merchandise, there you go, vipergraphics.co.uk. Go to that website, scroll a bit down the page, you'll find the ProSynth Network area. You can get t-shirts, hoodies, polo shirts, and I'm not sure there's anything else there yet, but yeah, go and fill your boots. They make wonderful Christmas gifts, by the way. The hoodies are superb. I wear mine literally every day. It's a bit smelly now, but it's still very good stuff. There we go. Right. Luckily, we have just been joined by our other co-host. We'll come to our guest in just a moment, but let's add him to the stream and give him a big ProSynth Network welcome. It's Mr. Kent Spong, everyone.
Hello.
Hey. Jingle bells in the background as well. There we go. How are you, sir?
I have been very ill.
Again?
I've not been well.
Oh, what's wrong this time then?
I don't know.
Oh.
I think what it is, I'm 60 tomorrow, and I thought what might be a good idea is to get into the swing of it early and just start, just going.
Pensioner mode, engage.
Yeah, if I told you that I had slippers on, I wouldn't be lying, and it's really, really doing my head in.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So
you got a small dog at your feet in a pipe. That's all you need. You must have a small dog.
The small dog's got a pipe.
Oh, whoa!
Oh,
hey.
Big hand for the juggler. Excellent performance.
Well, that noise in the background was our guest ruining his studio. It is, of course,
not drinking that beer.
No, Mr. Ian Cole, you all right there?
Hello.
Hey!
Merry Christmas.
Oh, bar
early.
humbug.
I just brought my bottle.
Oh, no. Didn't have anything in it, did it?
No, it didn't.
Oh, that's good. It's the worst nightmare in the studio, isn't it? Dropping
is,
a glass.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
dear. Anyway, how are you, sir? You are clearly in a festive mood.
I'm good. I've stolen Jane's Christmas hat because I am the Grinch normally, and I thought
Yeah, me too.
just for this evening, I'd play the game. So no, I'm good. I'm really good. Yeah,
Good.
fine.
Excellent stuff. Well, thank you ever so much for coming on. And the reason, everyone, that we've got Ian Cole on, we've stolen him kind of because he's now become a bit of a regular on Rands' show, which you're on tomorrow, yeah?
Yep.
Because I'm on there as well.
Hey.
Yeah, so the reason we've got him on is because Ian is, apart from a popular YouTuber and guest on many shows, he is also, for his day job, the owner of an online music technology retail outlet and other things as well, record labels and other things. But if we're going to give a buyer's guide to music technology gifts, what better person to have on the show than somebody who does that 365 days of the year? So thank you for joining us, Ian.
No, thanks very much. I'm just a media whore, obviously.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
No, but good one. And Ian's given me a list of things that he's picked out, and I've got a list of things that I've picked out. Kent, did you do your homework at all?
What?
The dog ate it, didn't it? That's what.
No,
Four
goldfish
dogs ate it.
Goldfish ate it.
Oh, the goldfish. Yeah. Well, that's okay. You can comment anyway on some of the ideas that we've come up with. But what we'll do a little bit later on is we'll go through some of our suggestions, and we'll give you some ideas, things that we think would fit in somebody's Christmas stocking, maybe things that might not quite fit in somebody's Christmas stocking, things on a budget, things maybe if not on a budget if you're feeling flush this Christmas, which I know a lot of people probably aren't. But hey, we're here to help, so there's something for everyone, and it's not just gear. There's other things in there as well, certainly on my list anyway, and I think on Ian's as well. Yeah. So we will talk through those shortly, but let's crack on. And there has been a little bit of news this week, so we'll have a look at some of that before we go on. And some of the news I think we'll kind of leave till the end, because it kind of feeds into our Christmas list, because some new things have come out that are worth having. So I guess I suppose it's a toss-up between sort of like the biggest news of the week. I'm going to go for, because I'm the boss and I can choose, I'm going to go for this one as probably the most exciting news of the week, and that is the fact that Korg have finished off their trilogy of native applications based on their recent hardware synthesizers, and this is the modwave native that has just launched just this week. So there you go. You can take your pick and choice now. You can either have the hardware or the software, or of course you can have both, because they do essentially work together. And the software, the software does kind of work as a controller and editor and librarian device for the hardware. So it really does kind of bring it into its own. I think Korg, I wouldn't say they were the first to do like one-to-one replicas of their hardware, but they've certainly made a big thing of it, and others seem to be following suit, like Arturia, for example, with Minifreak. But yeah, modwave. I know that you sell modwaves, and have you got one?
No, I haven't.
No, okay. You've got one though, haven't you, Kent? Right behind you, sort of at a jaunty angle.
Yes.
Okay, so you guys, you're the experts. Korg dealer, Korg owner. Thoughts on
Do you
this?
go first, Kent, or shall I?
Please.
I like the modwave, and actually, I have got an Op 6, which I like a lot, as you know.
Yeah.
If I was to choose another synth to own, it would be the modwave. Although I I don't really think it's close enough to a DW8000, which I also used to own.
Okay.
Now this, I was quite excited about this till I saw the price. And $200 normal, 149 I think now at the moment in a special
That's right.
deal.
Yeah.
And then was it 49 if you already own a modwave?
Yes, $49.99 cross grade price if you own the hardware. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I think it should be free if you own the hardware,
Yes.
and maybe $99 if you don't own the hardware.
Mm-hmm.
That would be so. I won't be buying it. I mean, I may have a conversation with Korg about trying to get one to actually review, but we'll see. But they don't tend to do that very often, to be fair. So all of the software, all software I own by Korg, I had to buy myself. I just think the price is a little high in this current climate, really.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it will be pretty close to the actual hardware.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mark Barnes, who Angel Star Scotland in the chat, I haven't seen him there, but he was beta testing this, and he had told me that it's pretty damn good, and he's a big modwave fan. So I think certainly my experience with the Op6 native and WaveState native have been incredibly good, and I'm told I don't have the hardware, and I'm glad that they're doing this because I wouldn't want to buy the hardware because I've heard some stories about build quality and. I
love the Op6. It's there.
Yeah.
I mean, and I actually said I was honest with Korg, and I said, look, I've owned 3 DX7s, and I am not Mr. FM. I really don't, And they said, well, we'll send you one, and we'll just do your review. And I did 3 or 4 videos, and I was completely convinced. I was a convert. I think it's a great little synth, and that's why I bought one.
Yeah.
After
Well, its programming interface does a world of good for anybody that's not really into FM, in deep, like a Dr. Manny Fernandez kind of thing. Sorry, I've just got to. Is that? Yeah. Go away, spammer. Thank you very much. Actually, no. Why can't I get rid of you? It's not letting me get rid of them. We've got some mods in the group, haven't we? I can't even.
Come on, Andy Brooks.
Yeah, come on, earn your keep. So yeah, what was I saying?
I'm pleased it's there. It's there. I just think that they could do something about the price, but anyhow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so you mentioned the price. So it's normally $199. Then it's currently at $149 as an intro price. This is all US dollars, by the way, and it's $49.99 cross grade for the if you own the hardware. So UK wise at the moment, if you want to buy it, it's going to be about 125 quid, and I've still got the page open in a tab because I'm like, last night I'd got all the way to put in my credit card details in, and I thought, do I want one? Do I really? Because I've got wavetable-y stuff, and is this different enough to warrant spending 120 odd quid at this time of year on just me? I don't know, Kent, what do you think of the hardware? It's clearly,
I like the hardware. I like the sound of it and everything like that. I mean, I'm just a spoiled little brat because I'm going, it's in software, great. I can have it up on here on the computer, and I won't have to push my chair back to go and play it anymore. I can do it from here because I'm such a lazy bastard. It should sound the same because essentially it is. We're talking about a digital domain here, really.
Yes.
So basically they're taking the engine and there you go, mate. So, yeah, but I agree with Ian. It's how much? It's what? No. A lot less than that.
Yeah.
I would have said anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, when I thought, maybe Korg will this time give me a decent discount, seeing as I own the other two, seeing as I'm also a Korg collection owner, full thing. Not a thing. I mean, like Arturia, I think seem to have got it right. Definitely. In that you don't need to own the thing that you're buying an upgrade for, or you don't need to own something in the same product family. As long as you own some Arturia stuff, they'll give you a discount. It might only be a small one, it might be a big one, but you'll always get some kind of loyalty discount. And Korg just don't do it. They'll have a sale maybe 2 or 3 times a year in the Korg shop, and that's it. So I don't know whether I should wait for this, or whether I don't think I need it. I really don't think I need it. But
I mean, they do have those sales. I mean, I bought I bought the drum machine for the iPad because it was eight quid, which is about half price. I think the 50% off sale. I don't know if it's still on actually. That was their Black Friday thing. I would wait for a sale, Rob, if I were you.
Yeah, I think I will. But there's I'm terrible. I'm not going to say it's OCD because I know what real OCD is, and I don't know what it is. It's just an insatiable desire to complete collections. It's why I collect vinyl. It's why I collect these things. I need to have every one of them. And there's a bit of me that's saying, "Oh, you've got all the Korg soft synths except this one." So I don't know. I'll close the tab and we'll see if Mark Barnes pings me. And by the way, if you want sounds for your mod waves, your op 6s, and your wave states, Mark Barnes does exceptional libraries at stupid prices and stupidly good prices. There's a Christmas recommendation. And of course, all of those will work on the software and the hardware.
Yeah.
So markbarnessounds.com, I believe, is the address. If not, just ping me and I'll send you a link. So it turns out that piece of spam was on Twitch and not on, which is why I couldn't do anything with it here. So so it proves people are watching on Twitch. Maybe bots are watching, but anyway. So there you go. Korg Modwave Native is out now. It's $199 full price, but currently $149, $49.99 if you're cross grading from the hardware. So there you go. So I guess the other big-ish news, and I really don't like to have these as news topics unless there's actually some substance to them, but it does appear that maybe now there is some substance to them, and that is that Behringer, after being quiet for some while, now have a video with an actual new polyphonic analog synthesizer. Let me just get rid of the notifications there. Let's have a quick watch of this. Not all of it, though.
Analog polysynths should not cost the world, and you shouldn't need to pay to add extra voices.
Hang on a minute. Dan, what's happened with your hair product, mate? Are they not paying you enough?
We give you 8 ultra-affordable voices straight out of the box. Introducing the Behringer Pro-800.
So it's finally
Let's travel
here.
back to 1982.
I just want to get through this bit.
A new synthesizer set the benchmark for studio connectivity. It was the very first instrument to ship with MIDI, an absolute game changer. While it was still analog, it was an important step in the evolution to digital. With MIDI, one-button oscillator tuning, and presets, Pro-800 respectfully looks back at this 1982 classic, not only improving upon the classic design, but also faithfully reviving one of the most underrated yet historically important synthesizers ever released.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there.
Sorry.
So where do we start? Okay, so first of all, a new 8-voice polyphonic analog synthesizer from Behringer, going to sell apparently for £599. That's not bad. What I don't like is this implication that you don't have to pay stupid money to get You've never had to pay stupid. If you want to pay stupid money, you can, but you don't have to. There are plenty of kind of alternatives out there. So I don't like that. And using a picture of the 600, the Prophet 600, but not mentioning the name at all. It's just like we'll dare to use the picture, but we won't say the words. I know I'm probably looking to pick holes in these sorts of things, but I don't know if you guys got to listen to the video, and everyone watching can go and have a listen to it later on. I didn't hear anything distinctly sequential sounding. It just sounded okay. There was nothing about it that screamed the sequential sound. Now, I'm no expert, but we do have one in the house. Yeah, that way. Did you get a chance to listen to this? And if so, what were your thoughts purely on the sound of this thing?
No, I didn't get a chance to listen to this. And if I'd had the time, I still wouldn't have done. Basically, what we're talking about, let's talk architecture here.
Okay.
Right. The Prophet 600 Curtis. The Prophet 5 Curtis. And Curtis is done in a certain way where it works with certain ancillary components to make the VCO, to make the VCF, to make the VCAs. So, your Pro 1 is, 2 VCO, 1 voice of a Prophet 5, intentionally. And the Prophet 5 is 2 Prophet 5s is a Prophet 10 with an EQ and a sequencer thrown in for good measure. But the sequencer is the sequencer you could buy on its own to plug into the Prophet 5, right? So what they've done, they've copied the circuitry of the Prophet 600 and, just redone it, new case, made it a little bit smaller and everything because the boards were a bit bigger. But it's easier to do because they've got no keyboard, which governs the size. Yeah. One-touch auto-tune, that's not revolutionary. Every auto-tune is one bloody button, one touch. So what are you selling here? It will probably, almost certainly sound like a Prophet 600 because it's almost impossible for it not to.
Yeah. When
you copy the circuits. Because the VCOs, they're the same VCOs, the VCFs are the same, the VCAs are the same, and everything like that. So it's not a very brave clone. I mean, their Minimoog clone was a much braver clone.
Yeah.
This is sort of like, yeah, mate, it's a kit, put it together, there you go, off you go, mate. Enjoy yourself. The price is good, yeah. Funny enough, when the Poly 600 came out, it was what they're proposing this one is, which was a cheaper polysynth, analog polysynth that you could have because it was a lot cheaper than the P5 and and everything else. I think it was in battling the Poly 6, wasn't it, at the time?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I must admit I went the Poly 6 route, but there you go. And there's loads of these 6 voices knocking about and stuff like that, and Cheetah and all that lot. So this is sort of like, you brought out another product. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's Curtis. It's like, it'll do what it does. Yeah. Simple.
To be fair, I mean, look, it's an 8-voice polysynth for £600, which is a good price. But yeah,
the thing that always bugs me about Behringer of late, and they've been doing this for the last couple of years really, is they're saying it's coming out in, I think February was the date that they said it was going to come out. End of January, February, is it something like that?
Yeah, it's kind of early Q1 next year. Oh no, shipping April. Shipping in April.
All right. Well, we may never see it then.
April.
I mean, they've said that before. They've said that time and time again. That
is the Selena shipping yet? I think it is, isn't it? There's Selena.
That I don't know.
No.
It's funny actually. We can, if we wanted to, we could supply Behringer synths, but we don't. Mainly because the price, the street price, is pretty much the same as our trade price.
Yeah, the margin's got.
So there's no point, No. Plus, I mean, Kent will be able to say whether this is. Well, maybe he won't because I don't know whether he bothers to work on them. I am always slightly concerned about reliability. Mm-hmm. I've got a couple of bits and pieces. There's a TB3 there, which is fine. I've got an X-Touch down here, and they're working fine. I've had no trouble with them, but it does always slightly bother me because they are built to a price.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's only one way you're going to build an analog polysynth to sell at $599, which is a US price, by the way, not GB. There's only what you're either going to have what Behringer have, which is their own facility and their own chip manufacturing and all that kind of stuff. but your margins are going to be like a wafer thin.
Oh yeah.
So, but look, let's wait and see what it sounds like. This I don't want to, I never want to give them too much time. I certainly never want. I don't ever want to give them time on their. What could we be building? Have a look at this circuit board, which they did today with supposedly their Jupiter 8 clone. It does look like I'll probably be wrong, but it does look like they seem to have thought. Do you know how we can keep those prices low? Let's drop keyboards altogether. We'll just do tabletop modules. And I'm wondering now if the Poly 800 and maybe this Jupiter thing and maybe even their CS80 that they're supposed to be doing that's never and all the other stuff
and the VC3
VCS3 and there was
actually that's the only one I'm actually interested in. That is the only one I'm interested in.
But you won't see that straight away because that actually requires a lot of work to clone that. But this Poly 600 clone is like knock it up in an evening.
And at the risk of repeating myself again, because Wagoo's already picked me up on the fact that I mentioned Dan's hair. And look, Dan, if you're watching, Dan, I'm just joshing with you. You've got amazing hair, and I wish I still had hair like that. The other thing that I always say when I say, why on earth, if you've got the ability to build a $600 8-voice polyphonic analog synth, why don't you just make the Behringer original 8-voice analog polyphonic synth and just say, hey, look, guys, here's our offering. And it might still be based on internally, architecturally, a Poly 600 or a Jupiter. But just stop it with the constant... I guess the cleverest thing that Uli has done is found or created, I think, by whipping up hysteria amongst a certain type of synthesizer buyer, is that you've got, we desperately want these amazing, desirable synths like CS8s and Jupiter 8s and Prophet 5s and all this kind of stuff. And so to capture that market, the only way he can really sell his stuff is to say that it's a clone of. And then a certain portion of the people who I do not think are the sorts of people that watch this show. So I'm not talking to you, dear listeners or viewers. But there are certain... I've seen these comments where somebody said, I've just made this track using... And then they've quoted, let's just say, for example, I've just made this track using a Yamaha CS80 and a Prophet 5 and a Jupiter 8. And actually what they've done is they've just used the clones. But in their head, they believe they've got a Prophet 5 or a CS80 or a Jupiter 8 or whatever it might be. And that's fine, I guess. I suppose you could just say, yeah, all right, fine, whatever you think. But it's not. And, it will never be. I don't know.
Yeah, but like I said before, it's not what Behringer do, it's how Behringer go about doing it.
I mean, I have been very critical of them in the past about the Peter Kern thing and all that sort of stuff, and the cork sniffer, which I was was just. Yeah. I mean, a professional company should never do that sort of business, and they have seemed to calm it down of late. But,
I mean, I think they've been quiet because of they've had to be. They've just not been able to do anything. But that's dodgy. That's not on. We were having a conversation in the Gear News virtual office today about Behringer and reporting on certain things, and how we go about doing certain things, and because I also work for Sound on Sound, and I was speaking to them a few years ago. And they said, Behringer don't even talk to us. They don't send us anything. Behringer have their own way of doing stuff. And sod the lot of you. We're going to do it this way. We're going to do it all through social media. We're going to whip up frenzies. We're not going to send you products to review. We're not going to send you products to critique. We don't need to. People will just buy this stuff because we'll wind them up enough that they will just go for it. And it's a very weird thing. And, it's a free world. Well, most of it is. They can do that, I suppose.
And there is a real core of Behringer fans. Because I mean, I was invited to the Facebook group, and I did join it only just to sort of lurk occasionally, But there are people out there who absolutely adore, all Behringer stuff, really.
Yeah. Look, hands up. I've got Behringer gear in here. I've got an MS-101. I've got the TD3. I've got Behringer line mixers all around the place. I'm not anti-Behringer.
No.
But I will try and hold their feet to the fire where I think they need to be held. But look, let's round this off and say, look, Poly 800 exists. There's a working one that we've seen. If you watch that video, you'll see a working demo. Dan, puts it through its paces. It doesn't sound awful. It doesn't sound, whoa, got to have that. It sounds okay. It's just a kind of a little bit, meh, and I didn't really hear, a sequential sound. But then it's not a sequential synth. So there you go. Anyway, that is the Behringer Poly 800, which will ship in April 2023, according to their YouTube channel, at an estimated price. I do like the way they put estimated in there because, of course, things are all very volatile, of $599 US. Did I call it the Poly 800? I'm sorry, the Pro 800. Yeah. I know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
We know. It's
the Pro 800. Sorry, Andrew. Thank you ever so much for pointing that out. Right. Okay. So that's that. I'm going to throw this because whilst I'm on my high horse about people being ripped off, this one really took the biscuit. Okay. So this company have of late had questionable pricing. I don't know. Yeah, people again. They have their fans. They absolutely love them. But Teenage Engineering, I think, have absolutely pushed this way too far because this is demonstrably an absolute rip-off. So, Teenage Engineering are now selling ground loop noise isolators, which, in their own right, are very useful bits of gear, especially in the world of USB-powered devices. I bought a handful of these. Well, not these, but ground loop noise isolators from Amazon for about $8.99.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And they work perfectly well, and they come with the little jump leads as well. So exactly the same. Now, again, I was talking to somebody about this earlier, and I said, "Oh yeah, I've got like a Chinese branded thing, looks the same, does the same." And he said, "Oh mate," he said, "this isn't Teenage Engineering's. This is actually made by a company called Finetech." And if I bring up this screen, you will see the very exact same product for sale on Amazon for £8.40. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
There is no difference, apart from one is sold on Amazon and one is sold on Teenage Engineering. Yeah. It's more than 3 times the price if you buy it from them. How can you do that? How can you... It's just...
Isn't this what Bentley did?
Possibly.
He did something very similar to this. This is how you prestige a company.
Well, yeah. Isn't the VW Phaeton is essentially it's a Bentley, a third of the price, or was a third of the price. It's... I mean, you've got to have some big, hairy ones to blatantly kind of put this thing up, on your page at 30 quid.
I have to say, I don't think Teenage Engineering care.
True.
About what people think about them in that sense. People will buy them.
Yeah. Because
they're not going to do the research. They're not going to actually try and find it elsewhere. Because it's branded with Teenage Engineering, they'll buy it.
Yeah.
Well,
actually, I don't even think it's branded. Let's just bring this back on the screen. No, because it's got the Finetech logo. I mean, literally, it's the same. It just comes in a Teenage Engineering.
That's why you got to pay 29 quid because the box is great.
That's it. Look at that. Yeah, they probably make their boxes like Apple. I mean, I do love an Apple box.
Oh, me too. Yeah, me too.
You're looking at an Apple technique here.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. To a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, to a point. Certainly.
What do you want? Dog shit in a plastic bag or a really nice box?
Yeah. I mean, they do actually say at the bottom there, produced by Finetech. But I mean, if they put produced by Finetech available on Amazon for a third of the price, I'd have said, yeah, fine, great. Then people are absolutely aware. But yeah, I mean, if you're thinking about buying a ground loop noise isolator, get it from Amazon. And
I think they're assuming that there is a market out there of people who go, oh God, I'm not going to search for it.
Yeah.
I just want it delivered to my door. Yeah. Here's my 30 quid. Off you go.
They look. Don't get me wrong. Teenage Engineering are an innovative company. They produce some very interesting and exciting things. Certainly not for me, but that takes the absolute.
I have to say, I love my OP1. I've got the original OP1. I wouldn't buy the Field.
No,
but I absolutely love it. But it is, and it's a piece of it's sat upstairs in the lounge as a piece of art as much when I'm not using it.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. It's one of the things that I would take on holiday with me and mess around with to my heart's content, and then stick those noodlings into tracks. And I've done that since I first bought it, which is probably about 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. Now for me, that's the only product that I've actually really been interested in from them.
Yeah,
the little pocket operators I thought were a really good buy as a starter synth, but I didn't need any of them. And they were. No. I mean, I think, are they still cheap? I don't know. I haven't looked at them for a while.
I think they're relatively cheap.
Yeah, I mean, we did used to deal with them for a while, or the UK distributor, and it was at a time when you couldn't get OP1s. We had waiting lists for months and months and months for people wanting OP1s.
Right.
So.
Well, there you go. If you want a ground loop noise isolator, you've got a choice. You can either spend 30 quid,
get a nice
Teenage Engineering, and get a nice box, or get one in a plastic bag from Amazon, exactly the same, for £8.50 or something like that. So there you go. That's that. Now then, let's talk about this, because this was quite interesting. Sonic Charge are a company, I believe, based in Sweden, and they make some excellent plugins. And something they made a few years ago was a clone, shall we say, of the Yamaha TX16W, which was their first stereo sampler from back in the 80s. It had a horrible operating system. Some people got together a few years later and developed a new operating system called Typhoon, which made it much more usable. And the team at Sonic Charge then went on to build a software version that actually runs the same Typhoon software, and so therefore is completely compatible with all TX16W samples and discs. And you can load them all in. As long as you've got the disc images, you can load them all in. And there is no fancy website for this. It's just a forum thing. And I only picked this up through KVR, I think, was where I got the information from. But you can head over to the Sonic Charge website and find this forum post, which has all the links to the download page. And you can download a new version of this. And that's the reason I'm talking about it, is because this hasn't been updated for years. And now there's a new version of it that has just been released that now works with all the latest operating systems, including Apple Silicon as well. And I've tried it. I've tested it on my MacBook, and it works really well. I mean, yes, it's inherently slow because it's running the same operating system, and you have to go through that whole thing. In fact, I think I can actually share the plugin, because it also comes as a standalone device as well. Let's see if this comes up on screen. There we go. There it is. This is it. And it looks and works exactly the same. So if you click on the disk drive, then it will open up a window that allows you to then go and select, just through the regular computer file system, and then you just load up those images, and away you go. It's great, and there's some really nice sounds on that, and a lot of people like the sound of the TX16W. I still haven't got one. I keep my eye open for them. But yeah, it wasn't the greatest sampler in the world, but if you want the experience, you can have it, and it's completely free of charge, and it works on all modern computers as well. So I thought that would be worth letting people know about that. So it's soniccharge.com, or just Google. It's called Cyclone. So Google Cyclone Sonic Charge, and you'll get the pages there.
And what's not to like for free? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, all good fun. So that is that. Let me just get rid of that off the screen there. Another quick update here. This, because I'm self-confessed not at all a Eurorack person, so I really can't speak to this from any position of authority. But the lady behind the Mutable Instruments brand, which of course Mutable Instruments I believe have stopped now, they don't do anything anymore, but one of their most popular units was Plaits, which I believe has since been cloned as well by Behringer. But Emily Gillet has Robin Vincent so eloquently puts it, popped out of retirement to drop a huge update onto the Plaits algorithmic oscillator. 8 new synthesis models, which include, bizarrely, a 2-voice, 6-operator DX7 compatible FM engine with the ability to load original patches as well as other wavetables. So this is a completely free update, and it's quite a significant one from what I hear, and I'm sure Randy will probably cover this tomorrow, so I'll let him do that in a much better way, because I think he's got one of these as well. Or has he got the Behringer one?
I certainly think Andy Brooks has. He's in the
Mr. Brooks. There we go.
Because he's been talking about Plaits.
There you go. Yeah, he's just said.
Plaits,
is that? No, that's not him. There. Where is he? There is he. He keeps moving. There he is. He didn't even know there was an update. Go and get it, Andy. Tell us what it's like. Come on. Honestly.
Do it now.
Do it now so we can tell people. But yeah, it's a completely free update. So if you've got one of these modules, and I believe there are still some available out there. Thomann are still selling a few for €229. So grab them while they last. I am told by those in the know that it's one of the best oscillator modules out there. If you're into Eurorack, you ought to have one of these. So I am told. It's a completely free update, and so I can't talk to it from any position of authority because I don't have it, I don't need it, I don't want it. But I was just interested in the DX7 thing, and it will apparently load original DX7 patches. Apparently, she's repurposed one of the 3.5mm jacks so that you can send Sysex to it.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like boggles the mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, strange things. So there you go. That is Plaits update. Gets a DX7 mode built in. Who said that nobody likes DX7? So, everyone does. They're all wanting it in their units. Right, let's move on swiftly from that one. I'm leaving some of these till last because they kind of feed in neatly. So what I'll do is I'll mention the last couple of news topics as we go through our Christmas gift guide, and I'll just say that that these are new. But this was just in. You guys have no inkling about this because this literally popped up in my news feed a couple of hours before we went on air. Now you remember that I was banging on about the Subharchord movie, which was shown in the UK for the first time just on the night of Synthfest, and it's been picking up, getting shows around different parts of Europe, and Finland I think is the most recent one. And someone, whilst one of these, because there's not many of these machines around, but there was one on display in Vienna, somebody got the opportunity to quickly sample some of the outputs, and those samples are now available completely free of charge on the wonderful freesound.org website.
Wow.
Now, you will need to invoke your sampling kung fu, or sampling foo, whatever that is. Anyway, there are 12 audio files, each with lots of different samples in. So you will need to go in, slice, dice, program. Yeah. It's just audio, so there's no sampling instrument files. But yeah, they're all there, and in all of its bizarre and atonal quality. I mean, it is just this weirdest thing. But by all means, go and fill your boots. Just look for the user Subharchord, and it is available there, so you can fill your boots.
Brilliant.
What I would like to say is somebody's just asked me to bung a link into the chat, so let me just do that. I'm hoping this will work from here. If it doesn't, let me know. There it goes.
That's it.
So those of you that attended Synthfest and came to the screening of this film will know that Steve Howell's wife was there with me in the audience, and we talked for a while afterwards, and we've since talked. the plan is that at some point next year, I'm going to go over to Cardiff, where Steve's computer has been successfully unlocked and everything has remained, because nobody really knows where these samples are that he took and how far he got with programming them. So we're going to try and find, do a bit of archaeology and see if we can find some things and then go from there, basically. So watch this space.
Yeah, I mean that evening, that movie was. If anybody gets the chance to see it, it's a must see, because it was absolutely brilliant. It was really absolutely fantastic. Because I knew absolutely nothing about the Subharchord until you told me about it, and I bought my ticket.
Yeah.
But that'd be absolutely brilliant. That'd be absolutely superb if you can get some of find out exactly what Steve was doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm hoping that between then and his untimely passing, that he managed to at least cobble something together, or at least work on the samples so that they you can then drop them into a program on some whether it's Contact or something else. I would like to hope that we can make them available at some point, whether at a charge, small charge or free. But yeah, so if you want to preempt that, it's over there, isn't it? So freesound.org. The link's in the chat. 12 WAV files which you'll need to go in and mess around with. But yeah, go for it. So that's that. And I do believe that's all of the news, apart from the bits that kind of tie into Christmas. Hey. So, what is the time? We've got plenty of time. I just need to do a check because do you remember a few weeks ago my wife's car broke down live on air?
Yes. I remember
that. So she comes home from work this evening and says, I'm hoping it's just a bit cold, but it was a little bit, duddery. So I went out to it and checked it over and fired it up and everything's working fine. But she's gone out round her friends tonight to just keep her company for a little while whilst I'm doing this. And she went out in the car and she dropped my son off at a party. But at the moment, she looks like she managed to get where. I just wanted to check that she got where she was going, and I didn't have to go and help her again. But there we go. Right. So let's see what we've got here. So so I had loads of links, so I didn't want to open them all up in one session of my browser for want of crashing the bloody thing. But let's see if I can do this. So I've got my list here. So what I suggest is if I go through some of these, and we can all have and then we'll go through your list, Ian.
Okay.
But literally, there's. I know that we've crossed over on some things.
I told me, mate.
Because great minds think alike, or fools never differ. I'm never sure. I don't need to open that one, do I? Whilst I'm doing this, Kent, have you got any suggestions for Christmas from a synth tech nerd servicing type perspective? Good soldering irons that you can have, 3D printers, that kind of thing.
Oh, Volterra 1 circuit board robot. They're about 4,500 quid.
Oh, is that all? Okay.
Yeah. Now, what that does is it will print your circuit board, drill all the via holes, and then you place the SMT components onto it, and then it will solder them in place for you.
Nice.
And do all that for you.
So who needs you when they can do that?
Well, that's why I'm getting one. I don't need me either. So I've put my order in for one. But what is important about it is there is now a UK stockist. Not of the machines, but of all the ancillaries. Instead of having to order them from, Shenzhen or wherever they're manufactured. So basically, it's like a 3D printer, but it does circuit boards, essentially.
Okay. Right.
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. So to make this easier, normally what I do is I share an individual tab. I've just whacked my browser screen, and I'm now going to throw it up. And so it just makes it easier for me to flick through these things. So my first recommendation for Christmas gifts this year is my mate Dudley, who's an Aussie that lives out in Thailand and has made some incredibly useful, if not unglamorous, objects but they really are. I've got one, and they're very useful. So the first thing is Mini Bay. And Mini Bay has just been updated to version 2. And the difference between version 1 and version 2 is that the dip switches to change the patch bay's ports from normal to through on the original is on the underside. On this one, there's actually a little metal plate at the top. Let me see if I can get a bigger image here. Does that give me a full-size image? No, maybe I'll just zoom in. You see... Oh, click... Why has it all done that? There you go.
There we are.
You see, in the middle, on the right, underneath the 2 summing mixers. See, if I move my cursor, it's going to grey out. There's a little panel. You can just pop that panel off and then just do the dip switches from the top. So you can leave everything connected and then just do that. So it's this wonderful little tabletop patch bay that has 12 ports, A's and B's at the bottom, and then you've got your effects inputs. And then on the back, you've got these connections there. So you just use those splitter cables where it's like a stereo plug and then into 2 monos.
Yeah.
What are they called? They're called through cables, I think. And it's all built by hand by Dud. He obviously gets these the bits sort of manufactured, the metal bits, and then just screws it all together and does all the soldering and everything. But there's that, and that is not a lot of money at all. I'll tell you how much these are. But the other one that I wanted to show you is the new one that starts shipping next week, and it's called Patchwork, which is a kind of a smaller version. There you go. So it's just like a smaller version of the same sort of thing. These are great for, I would imagine, for people doing EMOMs and even just tabletop, Eurorack type stuff where you want a patch bay, but you don't want the bloody great things. You just want something nice and nimble that's going to sit in your setup. So that's Patchwork, and that's just like a smaller version of it, which is even cheaper. So if you want to buy these things, you can do that through the DF Audio website, which is dfaudio.com.au. Patchwork is $160 Australian, so that's what, about 80 quid?
It's half, isn't it?
It's usually about half, isn't it? Actually, there you go. Let's put it into good old-fashioned UK money. 88.52. And for Mini Bay, it's 143. So that's not bad. And he also does... I think he was doing patch cables, but I think now he's just said, look, just go to AliExpress or wherever your cable distributors are. He's got distribution deals with Perfect Circuit in the US, Schneider's Laden in Europe, Juno, which we're going to come to in just a moment, or something else. And if anybody in the UK doesn't know juno.co.uk, you should. And Turamura in Australia. So plenty of places to get your hands on one of these. I've got a Mini Bay version 1. I've tried it out. It just works. It's so simple. And it has that little summing mixer in there as well. So that was one of my first ones. Any thoughts on that before I move on to the next one?
Good choice.
Yeah.
I used to have, back to Behringer, I used to have the Behringer patch bay for a while.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Which was okay, but I mean, that's and the prices are great.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, just to let everyone know, if we haven't put the links in the chat, if our moderators aren't doing their job properly, the links will appear in the description below, time-stamped and everything, so you can go and find these things. So that's dfaudio.com.au for Patchwork and Mini Bay version 2. Next up, now we mentioned Juno. Mini Freak has just come out. It's a brilliant synthesizer. Expect a review of some description coming on this channel fairly soon, probably over the next few weeks. But the Micro Freak, which preceded it, the Vocoder edition, which is the one I've got here as well, currently being sold at Juno. As I said, if you don't know this company in the UK, get to know them quickly because they do some great deals. 218 quid for an Arturian Micro Freak, which is a brilliant little synthesizer. Unless, of course, you're Jim Glue, who had problems with earthing and sort of things. But,
Juno are good guys. I've had dealings with them.
Yeah, me too. Lots of.
As through the trade as well, as not only as a reseller. In fact, I think I bought my instrument from them. And it was it was Roger Lynn who put me onto them when I first bought that instrument.
Oh, right, okay.
And they were able to sell me at a discounted, not quite at trade price, but something close. You know?
Yeah.
But they are good guys. They're all right. You know.
So Jim's just expressing his thoughts. we understand. We sympathise. But yeah, so Arturia's Micro Freak Vocoder Edition is available for £218, and it includes free next day delivery. Pretty much everything they do is free next day delivery, and they've got a great selection of vinyl as well, which is how I first found them. And then I saw, they sell musical instruments as well, and they do really good deals. And if you call them, this is the best bit about Juno. There's that phone number there, 0207 424 1960. Give them a call during working hours, and if you can find it anywhere else better, they'll match it or maybe beat it. But even if you can't, give them a call, because they will always do you a deal. Well, they've always done me a deal, even when I haven't found a price anywhere. I said, I saw your website. They said, give us a call. So I am. Yeah, we'll knock a tenner off that for you. Great. Thank you very much. So, give them a call. But the Micro Freak's just a brilliant little synthesizer. Well worth getting. Right. So that was another one. So, of course, this, as you all know, I've gone a little bit gaga over the Livens. The Sonic Ware Livens, which I now have all of them here, and I'm getting to know them slowly. But I thought, 260 something quid from Thomann, and the new one, the Lo-Fi 12, is now available, is shipping as we speak. It's only 279 quid. They're brilliant little things. Yes, you have to kind of learn the intricacies of the operating system. It's not as simple as you'd like it to be, but it's there, and it's pretty damn good. And also, when I was looking here, deck savers. They're a nice little present for the dusty synth in your home. Maybe you want to buy your synthesizer a Christmas present. Get them a deck saver. They're good thing. I actually had a look at them, hands on at Synthfest, and they're very well made. Still doesn't beat what I use, which is an old pillowcase over some of my synths, which was free. But yeah, they're worth having. What do you use? There you go. Nice bit of cloth. There you go. But yeah, Sonic Ware Livens are lots and lots of fun, and there's a Liven for everyone. So if you like FM synthesis, but not traditional, sort of slightly different, with a great sequencer and 4-voice engine, 4-track sequencer, 6-voice polyphonic engine. That's great. The 8-bit warps, if you like that kind of chiptune stuff, that's a lot of fun. The bass and beats is quite complicated, but is a great little kind of drum machine. And of course, the Lo-Fi 12, which we looked at a few weeks ago, is a huge amount of fun. It's a proper old school sampler. So yeah, there you go. So that was another suggestion that I had. Any thoughts on Livens? You tempted, Ken?
I mean, sorry, go on. Go,
a
Ken.
little. It's just that I do have other things coming, and I have to behave myself, or I will get spanked.
This or a Volca?
Oh, I think. Go on, go, Ken.
Do you know what Volcas are good for?
Sorry, is it a Korg dealer there?
When you got a slight incline on your driveway,
yeah,
and your handbrake's dodgy, you just put one under the wheel.
Exactly, and it's perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Highly recommend them.
Yeah, these are they're just so much fun, and they're so colourful and funky too. Look at that! Look at the colours on that.
This or a Volca, I don't know really. I mean, because I'm not a huge fan of Volcas. I'll be honest. Nothing actually wrong with them, but it's, I mean, they just. I have used them from time to time. I've clubbed them all together and made interesting sounds on them. They just. I mean, back to my OP1. I always came away thinking, well, I can do all of this sort of stuff on my OP1 to some extent with a Volca. So it didn't for me. Personally, it didn't work. We've sold loads of them, and I mean they're all still available. The only ones that are in short supply at the moment are FM and keys. I think everything else is still available. Although I have to say, you might be struggling to get it for Christmas now. Because we are getting to the point where, that's becoming a bigger issue. Because the last the last postage day is Monday, I think, they're recommending. If you want to try and get it.
They're shifting it as well, aren't they, because of the strikes and everything. So, yes. Anyway, so there you go. Livens, always a cracking little gift that will keep your synth nerd amused on Christmas Day and maybe Boxing Day too. This is an old favourite of mine, and you can talk freely about this one. The lovely little Korg NTS one, which I got myself for Christmas a couple of years ago. Took me about 10 minutes to put it all together, and it's a cracking little synthesizer in its own little right, but it's also a blindingly good effects machine.
It's brilliant. It's such a I mean, and the price is brilliant for a start.
Yeah.
But I mean, and I haven't got one, but I have had one on order for a while. So any dealers that's got them in stock, I mean, I think they're saying February before.
Okay.
I'll get the stock of them. But if anybody's actually got them in, they are absolutely wonderful.
Well, according to Thomann, and by the way, I'm only using Thomann because they're just like a general, I can go as one-stop shop essentially. We're not getting anything from using Thomann.
No, I mean
they said they've got them in stock. So.
Yeah, the problem with Thomann is that the shipping will be on top of that with Thomann because it's under 200 quid, isn't it?
10 quid shipping.
Yeah,
and that's
even so, it's still not bad, is it? I mean, there probably are
Amazon
UK dealers that have got them.
Yeah, and Amazon probably have a bunch.
Yeah, but they're wonderful.
Yeah,
and I'd love to see the NTS2, which I've ordered them as well.
Yes, well, we'll kind of come to that in a bit because one of my recommendations was kind of linked to that.
Okay.
So yeah, Korg NTS1, great little monophonic synthesizer, also a cracking little effects unit, especially if you get plugins from Sine Vibes, and you can support a Ukrainian entrepreneur with his endeavours there as well. So double bubble. These we spoke about last week, and I think these are stunningly good value for money. If you're looking for a pocket-size audio interface that's 24-bit, 192 kilohertz, so just all the headroom you're going to need. One is 1 in, 1 out, and the other one is a 2 in, 2 out. They both feature 24-bit 192, USB-powered interface with USB-C connectors, 48-volt phantom power, 1 or 2 mic line inputs, a standard TRS jack for your headphones and your speakers at the back, and just some little controls, gain controls on the top. These are from ESI. They're called the Naver Uno and the Naver Duo, and they're £49 and £70 respectively. If you're looking for a tiny little audio interface to take out with you on the road, I don't think you can do much better than this.
Perfect for EMOMs.
Another one. Another great EMOM record.
Or workshops. For workshops,
yeah. I mean, and I haven't tried these yet, but I can attest to ESI's build quality because I've got their MIDI interface, the M8U, which is built like a brick house. So yeah, it's some really good stuff. So just like stupidly cheap and great quality. And they do other things as well, like and they're all of very reasonable pricing. Yeah, there's the M8UX, which is what I've got. It's 16-port, intelligent port, so it doesn't matter what you plug in. It knows whether it's an in or an out and just switches. Wow. Very clever little thing. If we're going back to effects units, we should have done this straight after the NTS1. I don't think you can really go wrong with a Zoom MS-70 CDR, which I still keep saying I ought to get one of these.
I ought to get one too.
Because you can hack them as well, can't you? You can hack them to be able to upload like all of the Zoom models, pretty much. And there's a handy little how-to guide, not official, of course. But this again, from EMOMers and hardware jammers and all sorts, it's a great little effects box. You get so much in there for 99 quid. Absolute bargain, really. So lots of people like that. So the Zoom Multi-Stomp is that one. Has everybody got a drink?
No.
Get ready. Here we go. Widdy.
Windows users, please look away now.
So, I thought I had to chuck this in there, didn't I? Had to. But they're incredibly good value for money. And since I posted a picture on the Sample Trek Facebook group of my Sample Trek with Widdies connected in, I've had loads of people getting in touch saying, how do I get them? Where do I get them? And then they've got back in touch and said, I've got some and they're bloody brilliant. Why didn't I know about these before? So they're cracking little things. You can get them in all shapes and flavors. So you've got the regular WIDI Master, which is the MIDI plug sized thing. And then you've got the WIDI Jack, which does exactly the same, but instead of being bundled in nice little plugs, you get this little box, and then you can pick and choose your connectors. So you can either have 5-pin, you can have TRS 2.5, TRS 3.5, you can have those funny kind of serial style port connectors. What are they called? I can't remember now. MIDI 6 or something. Anyway, you can pick and choose, so you can use it for anything. I've got one on my Micro Freak. I've got one on my Livens. I've got one on my Essence FM as well. One of the MIDI jacks. Then you've got the Bud Pro, which is the one that plugs into a regular USB port, and then you've got the U-Host, which will plug into USB-C and anything else. It's kind of like the computer version of the WIDI jack. And there's also the board as well. You can buy the board separately, so if you want to build it into your own little design, you can. But they're there. And they are very good price, and they also do some very good shipping deals depending on where you are. There's also these 3 boxes that they've just released, which we spoke about recently. But a WIDI Master is... where are we now? What page? Should have had this ready, shouldn't I? There we go. $59.99 for a WIDI Master. Now, yes, of course, you're going to need 2 of those, one for each end. So it's a lot more expensive than a cable. But as I was trying to convince somebody the other day, they said, but why you still have to connect audio cables? Yeah, but I don't have to connect 2 more cables. It's 2 less cables that I have to connect. So, and I can connect anything. Yeah, there is a big difference. So there you go.
Especially if you've got restricted cable trunking.
Exactly. Or you're just lazy like me. But yeah.
Well, there's that as well. But
I mean, the only space that I've got to put, if somebody sends me a synthesizer to test or to look at, I have to put it on a stand, like the DX7 is kind of pushed over there. But I could put that in the middle of my room, and yes, I have to run an audio cable, but I don't have to run 2 MIDI cables as well. So it's just, it's convenience.
I would like them to put on their webpage, preferably at the top, in red, capital letters, does not work on PC Windows. Because I bought 24 of these buggers, and they're sitting in a drawer here.
Yeah, Windows, and that's Windows' fault.
Yeah,
that's we've kind of
agreed. Totally agree with you on that one. However, it would be nice if they sort of like said, by the way,
there are kind of ways to skin that cat, but yeah, I do agree that the Windows thing is something that hopefully Microsoft will sort out. But yeah, indeed,
don't hold your breath.
Quite.
They've had a long time to get their Bluetooth sorted out.
Yeah. We haven't spoken about any software, and we love these guys. Cherry Audio. I mean,
I've not picked this because I knew you would.
Yeah. Well, there's just no point. I thought, should I pick one instrument? And I thought, no, because you can buy SynthStack and get all of them for like stupid money. But anything by Cherry Audio is a great little gift, although it's not a great Christmas gift. You can't actually like physically wrap it up and put it under the tree. But yeah, I mean, just wonderfully great value for money plug-in synthesizers. Many might argue about how close they do or don't sound to the real things. They get pretty damn close in our book, and 59 quid or 39 for a lot of them. Some of them are on offer for 19, and if you go for SynthStack, you might even get them for cheaper than that. So Cherry Audio is one of my recommendations. Another one, Uno Synth Pro Desktop. This is a little bit more expensive, but nice and compact, and is a great 3-voice, genuine analog paraphonic synthesizer with a great sequencer built in, loads of great effects, a really simple interface with this kind of matrixy type thing that goes on here in the middle. It's very well built. It sounds amazing. I really do like this synth. Once I got over the issue of getting the right USB cable to power it, that's the only downside of this. It's USB powered. It's a cracking little thing. But
I think all the Uno synths are good though.
Because you get the small, the original Uno synths now for about 130 quid.
Yeah, sounds about right. That's what we sell them. Yeah.
And slightly limited in the fact it's just like a 16-step sequencer. It's little, but as a monophonic analog synthesizer, it's got some absolute. We're doing that a lot tonight, aren't I? Yeah. Okay.
Testicle rubbing.
Yes. Yeah. What's one of those? It's a dead one of them. Yeah. Talking of, so I am slightly going up in price here again, but this is a cracking little synth for £385. It's the Cobalt 5S. Now I've got the Cobalt 8, and I love it. This is a slightly reduced version. It's 5-voice. It's not fully compatible with the 8 version, so you can't take. I think you can take voices from the 5 and do them on the 8, but you can't do it the other way around. Something like that. But this is nice, and it's small, and it doesn't have the joystick. It has as a touchpad instead, so it's very convenient for sort of like packing away in your backpack and taking away as a controller stroke sound, tone generator of its own. And it's got those kind of MIDI keys, which are kind of not mini but not full size sort of thing. And I thought that was a very, very nice synth for the money.
It is actually, because I picked the Argon 8M at the same price.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, absolutely. And the other piece of hardware that I picked out, and I only picked this out, I really didn't know too much about this, but I had to write an article for Gear News about 5 budget keyboards for beginners. So basically, we're not talking like synthesizers, we're talking like budget, PSRs, PSS, Yamaha stuff, or Casio stuff. And I didn't want to have 5 of those keyboards. I wanted something maybe that had an air of pro quality to it. And I happened across this, the Akai MPK Mini Mark III, or Mini Play Mark III, which is a measly £104, but it's a full-on standalone synthesizer as well as a controller, and comes with the MPC sequencer software as well. Stupidly cheap for the money, and has a built-in speaker, so it's very portable and can be powered off of batteries. Little OLED display, 8 MPC pads, velocity sensitive mini keys, over 100 internal drum and instrument sounds. It's just like everything's good to go, and it's really nice and small and compact. It's a really cracking
incredible for
£100
for
£104. Or around that price.
Yeah.
So I just thought, if you are a musician on the move, or you're looking, to get something for someone like the young synth nerd in your family, get them. Akai is a well-known name. It's a well-known, good build quality. Has that, has the MPC pads and everything going on, and little speaker built in. Has a headphone socket as well for those annoying Christmas mornings. But yeah, it's just an amazing little bit of kit for £104. So that was another suggestion I had. And then I think you might have mentioned this as well, or certainly books of some description. Bukes. I mean, I'd love to find some of these under my Christmas tree. I'd love to find the patch and tweak with Korg and the NTS2, but that's not happening at the moment. Anyway, but I think we've had Kim on the show, we've had Mike on the show. We know how good these things are, and we know that everybody would love one of these. Whether it's this one, which is absolutely brilliant, the Roland one, I'm still going through it, and it's still revelatory. It really is good. Of course, Synth Gems 1 is another classic, but there's loads of books in there. So, that's a really good choice for a Christmas gift. Now then, one of the other ones I was going to say, get yourself one of those, because it's only £8.40. Don't get the Teenage Engineering one, unless of course you want the fancy box. And we've done that. Let me just see if I've missed anything out. No. So the last one I had is one of our news was one of our news topics as well, and it is this from UVI.
Not a lot of audio on this.
No.
There we go. That is PX Guitar Syn, which is UVI's take on those early Roland guitar synths. And the first question I had when I saw this was, can it do that sound from Fascination by the Human League? Because that's a GS 300 or 500. I can't remember which.
It's a 5, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of them. And I didn't know that for a long while until somebody pointed it out to me. And one of the qualities of that particular sound is that it's the poor tracking or something to do with it. But anyway, UVI have, and that sound does exist on here. I'm not going to do a demo, but yeah, UVI have done this, and it's currently only €49, which is why it was on my list of great things. Of course, you could also buy your loved one a UVI Sonic Pass. It only costs you about £20-something a month, and they get everything. But yeah, this is their version of the guitar synth. It comes with all of the usual UVI added bonus features of step modulation and sequencers, and just chock full. I think it's like 30,000 samples in this thing. Lots of effects and messing around. The one thing that I was disappointed it didn't have. Do you remember we've in the past we've talked about acoustic samples with their guitar sample libraries, which are scripted, and you can actually strum them. There's nothing like that on this, and I think they missed a trick there, because that would have been, because then you'd have got the real kind of, I guess, authentic triggering. Maybe, I don't know. I was slightly disappointed that they didn't have that.
It certainly won't have the latency issues that the guitar synths had
originally,
because they were in that.
Which is
I remember working with a guitarist, and he had a nightmare trying to stay in tune.
Yeah,
strange time. Sorry,
Yeah,
so they were a massive problem.
Yeah, it's it's nearly 15 gig compressed of lossless samples, which are about 30 gig in total. Hundreds of presets. Works across 3 different machines on an iLock license, and there's only, say, 49. It's part of their prototype range, which kind of takes instruments that never really fully made it into big production. And yeah, they've done this with the GS and the GR 500. And yeah, this was on my list of nice little gifty things. Kent, do you deal with these much at all in your...
I have done in the past, and they are a bag of cat sick. No, they're awful.
Don't hold back.
Oh, no, they are absolutely fucking awful to work on. And they had the, I think, was it on the GR 500, the sealed modules, like in the Juno, the VCAs in the Juno, so they had like these sealed voice modules, and oh mate, wires everywhere. They were just shit. Basically. Yeah. So it's nice that there's an alternative now. So perhaps people will put their GR 500s in the skip and stuff.
Did Alex Ball have one of these? He must have.
Yeah, I think he did. I think it was his one was the last one I worked on. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken it in. To be honest, just like.
I'd love to see what he thinks of this. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be quite the same.
Was it a 3? Might be in GR 300.
Okay. Yeah, because that big, it's almost like a system. Was it the System 100M style casing, wasn't it? And these
very
big,
much so. Yeah.
And then that panel of switches that that look upside down, but they're not, because they're there for the guitarist to look down. I mean, very interesting instrument.
Well, ironically enough, we bought a second-hand broken one of these GR 500s for the knobs and the sliders to put onto a System 100.
So there you go.
And then skip the rest of it. They drop kick well, I'll say that for them.
Oh, so you fancy one of these, Ian?
No.
Okay.
Moving
Nice and
no, not for me.
No. I must admit, I mean, I listened through to the demos, and yeah, they sounded all right, but they just sounded like synthesizer demos. I wanted something that sounded a little bit quirky and odd. I've yet to really delve into this and sort of figure it all out, but I will. But it definitely does do. I found a patch in there that it sounds just like the Human League, Keep Feeling Fascination. So I'm happy because I love that song, and I've got the. I think I've spoken about this guy before. That Dean up in the northwest of England, Stripped Productions. He does these brilliant deconstructions of Human League, Depeche Mode, and Yazoo. Every track is a Jupiter 8. Arturia Jupiter 8 creation, and it sounds just like the real thing, but I can't remember if he's got Fascination in there. I'm gonna ping
Is Fascination the track that had the video where everything was grey?
Yeah,
it was brilliant. Great video as well. Yeah,
brilliant video. And
just the whole street, isn't it? The corner of the street's all
It's all gone now. I actually searched for that on Google Maps, and it's all been demolished. And it's all very sort of modern housing, and it's quite a shame. But it was a derelict street. In fact, a lot of stuff that we saw in the videos in the 80s, a lot of it, the more I look now, it was all filmed around Docklands or Shad Thames, just around the corner from Tower Bridge, which is all now completely different. It's all been gentrified and modernised and had offices and flats built on it, and you just can't. I said to Jack, because we're going to London for the weekend to see Pet Shop Boys on, I think it's on the Saturday, and Peter Gabriel on the Monday. So we're just going to do like a weekend thing. And I said, I'd love to go to that, forget the name, it's at St Saviour's Dock. And it's one of those little inlets from the Thames where they used to film like all the gangster movies. And it's, they throw bodies over into it. And it was in Derek Jarman's Jubilee film as well, and I googled it, and it's all fenced off now, and it's because it's all flats and very expensive Russian oligarch stuff. So never mind. How do we get there anyway? Human League, that's what it was. So PX Guitar Sin is available now from UVI. Andy has put the link in the chat, but it will be below with everything else. Check it out now. It's €49, normally $79 full price, but of course if you have UVI's brilliant Sonic Pass, which Ben is a massive fan of. And by the way, I haven't even addressed the fact that Ben isn't here.
Who's Ben?
Remiss of me. Yeah, who's Ben? No,
sorry, Ben.
Ben's gigging, and he's gigging next week as well, because I'd completely forgotten. I was like, where the flipping hell's Ben? So I do apologise.
It's always a Friday, isn't it?
It's always a Friday.
Well, it's weekends, you see, gigging musicians, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And I think that was pretty much everything that I had. So if you could all just kind of like talk amongst yourselves while I now rack up Ian's list, which I do believe is just there. So let's do this. Or actually, I'll tell you what, Ian. You start talking about this one, and whilst you're talking, I'll call up all the other ones so that I'm ready for the next one. So
my first one, because I split mine into sort of below 500, below 250, below 150, below 50 quid. That's the way I did it. Are we starting at the top? Or we start at the bottom?
We'll start at the top with the ASM Hydrosynth Explorer.
So when this came out, I wish this had come out at the beginning. I bought I have the Hydrosynth, the original Hydrosynth, which I absolutely love. And I have to say, for less than £500 to have a Hydrosynth, I know it hasn't got the touch bar and the all that sort of stuff, but actually, and I know it's mini keys for those people that aren't keen on mini keys, but it's a bargain.
Yeah.
You've got one, haven't you, Ken?
Not that size. No, I got the.
No, you've got the original and the deluxe.
Yeah, the 49 deluxe. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think it's great.
Great sounds.
Absolutely, it's I mean, in fact, I've moved the studio around because he was living over here. He's now at the side of me because I want to be able to do the CS80 with it. So no, I think for ASM to actually produce this for less than 500 quid is an absolute bargain.
Yeah.
If you can manage to get that for Christmas. And I always buy myself something for Christmas. And 2 years ago, it did take me 18 months to save up for it, but I bought myself the Hydrosynth.
Nice.
And that was my Christmas present, and it arrived 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah.
Jane didn't know it was a Christmas present, and she probably never watched this, but because it was just it's all part of the business, darling. You know.
Yeah, write that off against it.
She's just arrived and she's just outside.
Stop
Hello,
talking
Jane.
about her.
No, hi, Jane. Welcome
Hello,
back
Jane.
from London. So no, yes, I think it's a wonderful instrument, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, I'm ready with the next one.
Okay.
He says, if we're going down the list.
Right. Okay. The hologram microcosm. Now, this I really, really want. I have a slight issue with. It was Andy Synth Addict and Darren from Ramsey's show who switched me onto this. This pushes my buttons, and I will get this at some point in the future. It may be a while away. I mean, you can't. There's no UK distributor, which is a bit of a shame. You have to buy it from America. So it's $459, but to import it into the UK, it bumps it up to $610,
Right.
which is still under £500.
Yeah.
And I'm not massively, I think it has to be something special for me to spend that sort of money on what is an effects pedal, really.
Yeah.
But there's so much going on in this pedal, and what when I've heard it, I'm just absolutely in love with it. I can see me doing this with a couple of synths and doing EMOMs with it.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think it's just but it's at the expensive side of effects pedals for me.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've heard. I think we might have. Did we cover this? I can't remember now. But yeah, I've heard lots of good things about it. So
it is on my radar. It won't be this year. It might not even be next year. But I tell you, I have to say as well, because I was looking for one. I was looking to buy one in the UK, right? Because I'm not going to spend another $200 just to get it imported. And I missed one at an auction. Somebody sold one at an auction for £200.
Okay.
And the auction was still up. But it had been and gone. But I thought I'd missed out on that, really.
Yeah. Yeah, Andy Synthetic said he.
Because Andy's got it. Yeah, building small.
Is there
batches,
anything Andy doesn't have?
Oh,
I want to know.
no.
That's what I want to know. Is there anything that Andy doesn't have?
Yeah, I don't think he's got an up-your-own field yet.
Hair? I bet he has. Hair. Oh, saucer of milk.
Meow.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's a good choice. Hologram microcosm, and we'll put the links up. By the way, if he's on the case now.
Yeah,
he's had a couple of beers. He's on the ball. Yeah.
And
Right.
hand number on the back. I love that. Actually, that's great.
Right. So let's see. I've got your list here. Oh yes. Right. So go on. Next one on the list
is the organelle.
Yeah.
Now you've heard me banging. I mean, I've banged on Ramsey's show, and I've probably banged on Kent's show. I absolutely. And here is. I mean, and I've just done my last EMOM with just this.
Just that. I saw the video. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they sell it as a music computer.
Yeah, I want you to explain this to me.
Yeah, I like. What this does is it uses what's called pure data patches. So if you're not sure what pure data is, it's a programming language a bit like Max MSP, but it's open source and free. Now, I've not done any pure data programming. I've done Max MSP, and apparently the conversion is quite straightforward. So I need to do that at some point in the future. But you don't have to do that to use this instrument.
Okay.
There's hundreds of patches that other people, that the company, Critter and Guitari have made, and other people as well. I mean, like I said, the last EMOM, I did 3 patches. One which was a guy had done a clone of a Lyra 8, and I just used that patch. I then did a random sample thing, which was bonkers. And these videos will be out actually. And then I did one with like an upright piano with a squeaky pedal, which was just brilliant. That's the one that's already up.
Right.
And using those little buttons to perform is actually quite a joy, really. And I'm surprised I would say that, because I'm not usually fond of sort of little buttons like that. It will do things like MPE. I have connected to the instruments. There's two versions. There's the Organelle S, which is exactly the same as the Organelle M, but doesn't have batteries, and it doesn't have the speaker. It's a little bit cheaper. Now, what's happening is they are being affected by the chip shortage. So currently in the UK, there are a few left around. I managed to get mine for just under 500 from, and I thought that it was a dealer called, I've forgotten the name actually. Did I put it in my, Studio Care. Never heard of Studio Care, but anyway, they are a dealer.
Right.
They're currently doing the M for about £485.
Okay.
What will happen is that once the UK stocks disappear, there won't be any around for a while, because because Critti and Guitari have said, I actually contacted them and actually had a conversation with them. They will only be supplying US because they're made in Brooklyn, and to some extent there's a hand-built element to them.
Right.
But I think this is the way that synthesizers are probably going to go long term, in the sense that you have a programming language and you program the synths that you want to put into them.
Okay. Because they've got HDMI ports, so you can connect them up to a TV.
You can use it just like, it won't. It's done on Linux, I think.
Right.
So there's HDMI port for the visuals, and you've got two USB ports as well, so you can plug a mouse into it.
Okay, yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. I haven't done that. It comes with a sort of a Wi-Fi dongle, and I do everything on the computer, and then just Wi-Fi it over. So that's how I've loaded patches into it. So there's an element of learning with every patch that you load into it. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the patches that people create, they give you some information, but you have to sort of work at it to actually get it to actually, do what you want it to do. But and people have compared it to the OP1 in certain sense. The OP1 is a much more. You can't obviously load your own patches into an OP1. But you can do everything that you could do with an OP1. So you can sample with it. You can, so anything you can think of doing in it. It can be an effects pedal. Somebody may come up with a microcosm patch at some point, and you'd be able to load that into it, and then it would be an effects pedal. There's tons and tons of stuff out there for it.
First time I saw one of these was an Adam Buxton video where he got together with Gaz Coombs from Supergrass and did the Greg Lake song, I believe, in Father Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And Gaz Coombs, who I love, has got his acoustic guitar, but Adam's in the background and he's playing this thing. And I'm like, what the bloody hell is that? Yeah. It's got wooden keys. What's going on there? Yeah. And it was one of these. It was the first time I'd ever heard one. And it sounded different, but it looked fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm absolutely blown away by it. And it's, like I say, there's a learning curve to everything you do. There's a third party set of patches where you can multi-layer patches. Now it's called ORAC. I haven't got my head around it yet, so that's my Christmas really. I'm going to learn to use ORAC over Christmas with it.
Wasn't that the computer on Blake's cell? I think we've had this conversation before.
We have had this conversation. Yeah. I believe it was because you told me it was.
Yeah. He was the little portable computer in the white perspex box. Yeah. What was it? Zen, the big one, the hexagonal that looked the thing out of Blockbuster.
Oh yeah. I remember
that was Zen.
Yeah.
Anyway, it looks fascinating thing. Yeah.
They've launched a Kickstarter, which obviously won't help people for Christmas. It's not the same, quite the same thing. It's they say you'll be able to load patches into it. You won't be able to load the organelle patches into that thing. It's called a 201.
Right. Okay.
It's going to be about 250 quid on Kickstarter, and then probably quite a bit more. But it's and it has got certain synths already built into it, like a chiptune synth and a drum machine and all that sort of thing. But you know, they're a really interesting company. You know,
yeah, it looks it. Yeah, looks very good.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the organelle. Next one on your list, if I'm not mistaken, was from one of the big three.
It was Mr. Roland.
Mr. Roland.
Yeah. I was thinking, you know, what drum machine would people like? I mean, I think I've got the TR-8S, which is obviously over 500 quid. But I actually think the little TR-6S for 300 quid is a steal, really. And having over the last month or so, you had to use the patch editor, which is the same patch editor whether you've got the 6 or the 8, and having to sort of load some patches in and start building patches from scratch. I found the workflow really, really straightforward. And if you want all those sort of, you know, the classic Roland sounds, they are there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not that interested in those sounds, particularly. I'm more interested in doing other things with it. But I thought for sub 300, you know, 299, it's brilliant, really.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know,
they're getting a lot of love, these new little Roland boxes, and
I know it's not. You know, I mean, we were talking about the Korg drum log.
Oh yeah, drum log. Yeah.
Which is, I would be more interested to see what the comparison between the TRS-8, because that's the price bracket.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Korg haven't. You know, Korg have got drum machines in this sort of price bracket.
Yeah.
But they're, you know, but I think, you know, they call it a rhythm performer. It will do a lot more than just a drum machine, because the TRS-8 does that.
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
8S, you know.
So I mentioned in my list the Modal Electronics Cobalt 5S, and you've gone for something similar. That is, in fact, if you go and buy this from Music Matters, is the same price, and that's the Argon 8M.
Yeah. I mean, I can see me getting this at some point. It hasn't got a keyboard, and I've got enough synths with keyboards.
Yeah.
But I'm very much in love with Modal as a company. I've got the Sculpt, which I don't know whether I added it to my list actually.
You did.
Oh yeah, I did. We'll come back onto that.
We'll come on to that one. Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought this at this sort of price bracket, you know, less than £400. I thought this is a cracking little synth, really.
I mean, I've got the keyboard version, the 37 key version, and it does everything you want a wavetable synth to do.
Yeah.
And so it can sound PPG like, it can do all of that stuff, but it goes way beyond that. And I'm sure Jim Glue in the chat will attest to this, because I know he's a big fan of it as well. It really, really is more than just your regular wavetable synth.
Yeah.
And the fact that they've done it in, you know, the 37 key, the 61 key, and this, all under sub 500. Well, I think the 61 keys about 600 and something. But yeah, they're all kind of really well priced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Argon.
So I can see me. I mean, I certainly will be buying something else from Modal at some point in the future.
Yeah. Well, you can't go wrong with this.
You know.
And the great thing about it, as you can do with the Sculpt, you can do with the Craft Synth 2, you can do it with the Cobalts as well, is that you've got the brilliant Modal app, which works either as a standalone editor stroke librarian, but also as a plug-in, so that you can then automate everything within the synth through the plug-in. And it's a really great interface. It's a really great way of using the synth, which is why my Cobalt is over there. I don't need it in front of me. And I'm actually thinking about moving the Argon over there as well to give me a bit more test space, and just putting it somewhere, because I don't need to be hands-on with it, because the app is so good. You know,
the app is great, actually. And they did an update, didn't they, recently?
Yeah, they're always, it's always updating.
Yeah, it's all, I mean, I'm assuming that that this will do MPE exactly the same way that the Sculptor does. Yeah, I thought that would be the case. I'll say more about that when we come to
it. Responds to it. It doesn't actually have an MPE keyboard, but it will respond to it all, and you can switch. You can also polychain them as well.
Oh,
so you can polychain a Cobalt or an Argon, with another Cobalt or an Argon, and get full 16-note polyphony and double the number of oscillators and everything. So very good choice. Very good choice. Right.
Then we moved down to below 250, and I had to stick a Korg in, didn't I?
Well, yes,
actually, I just think that the monologue doesn't get an awful lot of love these days, really. And I think for an analog sort of, the cheapest I could find was at our friend's Juno again.
Yep, again.
227 and 54p, and it's got a wooden cheek at the end there.
It has got a wooden backside.
Wooden backside.
Because we
different
all know
colours if you want it.
Better.
I think I'd have gone for the black or the blue, but and I think, and I've we've done quite a few of these over the years, and it's whenever I switch it on, and I don't have one here at the moment. It's just a lot of fun. It's like you were saying about what to do on a Christmas day. You stick your headphones on and great little synth, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, yeah. So, how much are these again? Sorry,
227 and 54p from Juno.
That's not bad at all, is it?
It's great, isn't it?
What you're getting.
There
are some great.
The recommended retail is about $3. Well, actually, Korg don't have recommended retail prices anymore.
Okay.
Because, like a lot of synth manufacturers, they had to stop having recommended prices because certain synth manufacturers were price ringing. I'm not saying Korg were involved in that, but others were.
Yeah.
And actually, not only synth manufacturers, Fender and Gibson were part of that problem as well.
Yeah. So
there is no recommended retail price. There's just a price that they sell to the dealer, and it's entirely up to the dealer what they sell it at. So that's the way it should be. You should say, really.
Cool.
Next, I think we've got the
Create Audio.
Audio.
West Pest or Pest.
West
Pest.
Both together. You can do both together, really.
Yeah.
West Pest and East Beast. Me and Jim Glue at Synthfest were playing on these. I think I had the West Pest and he had the East Beast. I just I thought these were great fun. Again, similar sort of price, £200, £212.99 for the West Pest, and £216.99 for the East Beast. And they're bonkers.
Yeah.
I mean, they sounded so weird. So I think they're like a cheaper version of what Soma Labs do with some of their synths, because they sounded wild,
right.
And I wanted to spend more time with it.
Yeah, because I remember you were sort of stuck on that stand at Synthfest for ages, weren't you? Messing around with one of these.
Yeah, I didn't get anything useful out of it at all. It sounded absolutely awful, and I'm glad it was only me on headphones that you could listen to. But I was having so much fun, and that's before I started plugging things in. I was just messing around with the knobs and the buttons, Yeah. So no, I would. They're great,
Yeah, looks
and
like fun.
I shall certainly find again at some point in the future. I think one will be finding its way to Sinner's Music headquarters.
Indeed. Right, we're going to drop down into a slightly lower price bracket now, and we're going to go back to our friends at Modal, I believe.
We are. So the Modal Sculpt SE, which is actually right here.
There we go.
There's a problem with these at the moment. They're in short supply.
Right.
Nobody seems to have them new. I had to buy one second hand. I got mine for £130 second hand. And I have to say, I I bought it for its MPE capability.
Mm-hmm.
What surprised me most of all was the minute I plugged it into a dual instrument, and I switched everything over to MPE.
Yeah.
I didn't have to all of the presets that are already built in there, and obviously with the app you can add presets and move them around.
Yeah.
It automatically gives you an MPE version of whatever you're doing.
Right.
Which I just was completely blown away with that, and I've yet to do any patching with it, proper patching, and building my own patches, which I will do. I mean, the keyboard is, I wouldn't use the keyboard at all. I would just plug it into something. I plugged it into an instrument or a small keyboard. The build quality is pretty good on them, I think, overall, for the price that you're paying. I mean, it's a sub 200. I think I've got it down here at 150, below 150 quid. I think the recommended price is about 169.
Yeah, they brought the price down, didn't they, when they brought out the SE version?
Like I say, at the moment, and this has been going on for a while, because I got mine about probably a month, 6 weeks ago. I can't find one new at the moment here.
Right.
Like I said, it has to be second hand. But I mean, second hand, they're going for about 150 quid. So the second hand price has gone up a bit since I bought mine, because I think you may find that the new price will go up slightly, because, I mean, it's a well-known fact that when things are in really short supply, here's a secret, guys. Dealers will put the price up because they haven't got stock.
Right.
So if something is in really short supply and it can't be, and nobody's got them, then the price, you will find some dealers putting their price up, and taking orders on that price.
Oh, I see.
Because they might not, they're not guaranteed to have the stock come in at the old price. That does happen, and we've seen that over the last, certainly, well, since the pandemic more than anything else, I think, really.
Yeah.
And actually, to be fair, Brexit had a bit of a thing started happening there.
Of course.
People putting their prices up. So, if you can find one, highly recommended from me.
Well, I've got the original one.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so glad that they did the SE version, but I'm a bit peed off because I didn't get the SE version, because on the original one, all the labelling,
the layout's a bit weird, isn't it?
It's a slightly strange layout as it is, physically.
Yeah.
But all of the nomenclature was all at like jaunty angles, and it's like on a black background, and so it just takes a while for you to kind of go like this or go like this to figure out exactly. And because there's a lot, you can see if you look on the surface there, you've got things in white and orange. That's because there's a shift mode, so that a lot of these things double up as different things, and so it's quite menu diving, which again is why the app is just brilliant, because it just expands everything out into just single functions. The preset selection on the hardware is done through the keyboard, which is a little odd. I found that on this one slightly odd. Now, luckily for me, I can choose patches on the instrument. Right, yeah. And that worked so much better for me. I still had to pick some of the banks on the actual keyboard, but I couldn't. Maybe this was like the same sort of thing that Jim had. I had issues with using it plugged into a normal power socket with a USB lead. It was fine if it was connected to a computer. It was fine on batteries. But I had issues with it being connected to the mains. Okay. And choosing patches that way. I don't know whether. I mean, maybe there's a slight fault with mine. I don't think there is, because it's it works fine for everything else. But it's
if it works fine on batteries, then
But it's a lot of synth for not a lot of money. And again, you can polychain 4 of these, I believe. Yeah. To get your full 16 voice polyphony. Which, when you think about it, I think, because we were talking to John Bickle about this when he was at Modal, and I've just realised I hit the wrong button on my iPhone, and it's now literally dictating everything that I'm saying into, and my wife's probably thinking, he's writing me a heck of a long message here. What the hell's he going on about? But yeah, John Bicker was saying that you could buy 4 sculpts and polychain them to get a 16-voice virtual analog synthesizer for cheaper than a regular 16-voice virtual analog synthesizer. It's ridiculously cheap to do that. So if that's your thing and you want to do that, you can go ahead. But yeah, really a lot of synth for not a lot of money at all.
Good. I mean, just the great design of actually the lid being that's it. You can have it that way. You can have it shut, but then it becomes the lid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What a super
and it has a little cutout, doesn't it? So that when you have it, you can still access the MIDI ports on the back.
What a sensible idea that is.
Very clever.
It's wonderful.
Very clever design. So yeah, there you go. Sculpt SE from Modal, under around 150 quid, depending on where you purchase it from. Next on your list was this one.
And this actually, I first saw this at I think again, Andy Synth Addict.
Yeah, I was going to say the same.
And actually, this is the Soma Labs Rumble of Ancient Times, the Rote synth. This is back to being synths that's like the Create 8 synths. It's bonkers. It's sort of chiptune-y, isn't it? And I'm not hugely fond of chiptunes, but actually the demonstrations I've seen of this are actually, it's more than that really. It's got a lot more going on, and I'm a massive fan of some of the Soma Labs. Well, their philosophy more than as well as everything else that they do. The fact that the instruments that they make, like the Lyra 8, you don't quite know what you're doing with it or what's going on. And I want the Terror when it's out. That's the chunk of that's the half a tree that they've turned into a synth. But this thing, yeah. Now the problem with Soma Labs generally is that their stuff's really expensive. But this is quite reasonable. This is £135 from DV247. So it's budget, but actually for a little synth that's And at first I thought, is it meant to go in a Euro rack? But it isn't. It's just a little desktop synth. And I know there's a bit of menu diving goes on with the the panel and stuff, but it just I think it's bonkers.
Yeah,
I think it's absolutely. But I have to say I love all of that sort of really weird experimental stuff, as you will see with some more of my videos when they come out.
Indeed.
Because I get the last Emon got very experimental. The video that I've put out at the moment is actually the most, shall we say, it's the most normal one. The other two ones get certainly very weird, but weird's good. I've always thought
absolutely.
Weird is good,
Right, so that's like all of the hardware stuff, but you had some other things as well.
I did.
So let's go through those, kicking off with Mr. Ware.
It's my current read.
Yeah.
Better with that.
Great biography.
About halfway through it, I've just got past the split with.
It's a cracking chapter,
Phil.
isn't it?
It's absolutely brilliant.
Well written.
I'm reading it in bed, and I had to finish that chapter. I was up till 1:30. I had to get to the end of the chapter.
Yeah.
It's a great. It's well written. It's just great, actually. I mean, I'd like to. I'm looking forward to Volume 2 whenever he writes it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I suppose this is a nice little time for me to give a little kind of sneak. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, but if you are a fan of Martyn Ware, look out on Tuesday for my Christmas gift to all of you that involves Martyn Ware, and it will. Yeah, you'll get some extras, shall we
Good
say?
Stuff.
You'll get some extras. But I've actually, because I'm driving to Italy in April to go and finish finally scattering what's left of me father back in his homeland. And so what I've been thinking, because I'm driving there and back on my own, I need something in the car. So I think, I'll get some audiobooks. And this was the first one I bought. Even though I've read the book, I just want to sit there and have Martyn talk to me for 10 hours.
Yeah, because I listened to his podcast, and if anybody in the chat, if you've not listened to Martyn's podcasts, they are brilliant. Yeah. I mean, they're just chats with people.
Yeah, it's just really is very informative.
He is interviewing them, but he's not really. He's just he knows all these people, and they're great actually, absolutely superb. And reading this, I can hear his voice.
Yes,
so it's brilliant.
Yeah, so
definitely.
That's good. Also had another book, of course.
Just before we move on.
Oh yeah.
Rob, this was £25 when it came out. I bought it at £20. It's now come down to £13.88 on Amazon.
That's right. Yep. Or £10.99 for the paperback.
It's even cheaper. Is it the paperback out yet? I thought that wasn't out till.
It says a paperback £10.99. So I'm assuming. I'm just saying what I'm saying.
I might be wrong. I thought the paperback wasn't till next year,
but even so, I mean, the hardback £13.88.
Yeah.
And the audiobook is, I think it's about £8-9.
Yeah.
You get it cheaper if you've got an Audible subscription. But so the next book you had on your list,
I haven't got it yet, but this is my Christmas present for my mother.
Ooh.
This is Switched On, Bob Moog and the Synthesizer Revolution.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really looking forward to this. Because I read it's Analog Days is the other one, isn't it? It's not just about Bob. It's also about the Buchla thing, if I remember rightly. And I bought that. I mean, I read that first as the library book and then bought it. But I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
And I know you had Michelle on, didn't you? Who was talking about it.
Yeah, we've had her a couple of times, and it's sold really well, and it apparently is a really, really good.
And it's currently $23.99 on Amazon.
Oh right, it is on Amazon now because it wasn't initially, I think. Yeah, but so I'll just
because Jane said to me, I need you to spend £20 from your mother. So I went, I know it, but it's actually not £20. It's slightly more. She went, that's fine. So I literally ordered it today, and it'll be here tomorrow.
Nice.
So
good stuff.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
And of course, don't forget that if you are that way inclined and you want to contribute to the Bob Moog Foundation, they have other products in their store as well as the book. There's posters and all sorts of things. So they make great Christmas gifts too, but you probably won't get them before Christmas. But you can use you can spend your vouchers or your Christmas money that you got from Auntie Beryl. We've all got, I haven't got an Auntie Beryl. No. No. And there was another book.
Last but not least, I haven't started this one yet. This is a tome.
It looks a big one.
This is Karl Bartos' The Sound of the Machine, My Life in Kraftwerk and Beyond. I'm not a huge Kraftwerk fan necessarily, but I heard
What's wrong with you?
Well, we've had this. I mean, actually, Ty berated me, didn't he, over Kraftwerk? The problem for me was that the first album I got was Radioactive, which I still own, and I used to put it on to go to sleep to because it didn't really float my boat. There are other albums that are better, I would say, and I have grown to love them over time, to a certain point. But this, having listened to Karl being interviewed, I think it was on Six Music on Radcliffe and Mahoney, and him talking about his time not just with Kraftwerk, but it's also after that, and it just sounded like a fascinating book, And I want to know more about the time, because there's the story that he, when he decided to leave Kraftwerk, they didn't even talk about it. He just literally left his keys on at the Kling Klang Studios, and he walked away. Wow. Which I think was probably an incredibly brave thing to do, but obviously he'd got to that point in the relationship that he felt like a third wheel to some extent. So I'm looking forward to it really, But it's a big book.
Yeah, looks it, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to add one in here before you come to your last one, because I was aware, obviously conscious that we'd mentioned the Bob Moog Foundation, but we must also remember that there's the Alan R. Perlman Foundation as well, of which we are huge fans and supporters of, and they have their own store. They have apparel, they have books, calendars, prints. There's the new Pete Townsend poster that they've got, a big framed yellow print that they're doing of him, leaning on the art, that very famous image. And there's the Odyssey stuff designed by Ollie Freck. And and also this kind of segues nicely into your last thing. Now, obviously, if you want to buy these from the Alan R. Perlman Foundation, please do. But you probably won't get them before Christmas, knowing that the shipping is going to be a bit extreme. But if you're in the US, I'm sure it'll be a lot easier. But if you're not in the US, of course, you can go to GeForce.com and buy a set of those.
I couldn't find them on GeForce.com.
GeForceSoftware.com, sorry. Are they not on there?
I looked there first, because that's where I bought them from.
Yeah.
I bought these 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
this is the vintage synth top trumps. Every synth player should have these. Absolutely. If only for the little judges' credits, which includes somebody called Kent Spong. Have you heard of him? And there's a nice sort of quote.
You say judges. It was I think it's 3 of us, and I think Mark was on.
Mark was there, and Dave and Chris. Yeah.
In my kitchen, sitting drinking coffee, going, "Oh, that one's shit. Give that 9." Yeah, that was. I like that one. Yeah, well, oh no, that's not. Oh, mate, talk about an argument. Yes, good fun.
They're wonderful. I have to say as well that when I got them the first Christmas, which is like say 2 Christmases ago, I did manage to get Jen to play synth top trumps, which she really didn't get, and neither did the boys, because the boys were playing as well. And actually, she say afterwards, "I'm never playing that game again." So I am. Here I am. I've got vintage synth trumps 2. And I've got nobody to play with.
Oh, well, maybe I don't know. How does number 2 differ from number 1?
I don't know.
The child said to his parents. I've got mine. I've got my set. I've got the original ones. I don't know if there was anything added.
Ken, you're the only person that would know.
No, it's a few years ago, mate.
If they're the same.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they dropped the Gleeman Pentaphonic or not, or whether they kept that in. Or I think a lot of it was they reviewed the scoring a bit.
Oh, is that what they did?
Yeah, and I think they expanded on the categories as well.
Right. So I need to clarify for our American fans or people that don't live in the UK. Top Trumps was the name of a card game, as is evidenced here, where each card had a product or a thing on. So I remember I had cars and planes and stuff like that, and the card would have a picture of the subject in question, and then there would be like 5 or 6 categories of top speed, acceleration, size, weight, and the object of the game is that you deal out the cards and you go through each one. Oh, so you get the top of your pile and you say, right, I've got a Vulcan, Avro Vulcan's top speed is 600 miles an hour, and Ian might say, oh, I've got a B-52 and its top speed is 550. Yeah. So because mine trumps his, I then take his card, and the object is to get all of the cards. And it's the same with the synth. So, I've got 3 oscillators. Oh, I've only got 2. Right, I win because I've got 3. And that's all it is. It's a simple, fun game. I also want to point out, thank you very much, Dina, for pointing this out. Alan R. Perlman Foundation have an arrangement with Ollie Freck. So if you want a T-shirt or poster and live in the UK, they'll come from the UK. So go get them. Same with the top trumps. So if you buy the top trumps or the vintage synth trumps through the Alan R. Perlman Foundation, Dina says they will be delivered by GeForce from the UK. So there you go.
So you'll get it before Christmas.
So get them through the Alan R. Perlman Foundation. I think Andy's put the link up in there. So it's just basically alanrperlmanfoundation.org. Go to the shop. If you're in the US, that's no problem. If you're in the UK, again, don't worry. Top Trumps and the Olifrek stuff can be shipped from the UK. Thank you ever so much, Dina, for those. And also, don't forget to go and check out last night's live stream from the Alan R. Perlman Foundation, where they had the Blue Marvin or Blue Meanie or whatever it's called. I can never remember.
Blue Meanie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Marvin. It's Marvin.
Blue
Blue
Marvin.
Marvin.
Yeah.
Blue Minis from Yellow Submarine.
Yes, that's right. It is, yeah.
That's where I get mixed up, you see. So yeah, go and check out on the Alan R. Perlman Foundation YouTube channel. And I believe that's it.
That's my lot, yeah.
That's everything.
Yeah.
So have you got anything to add to that, Ken, or have you decided on what you might...
I got three on my list.
Go on then.
We got Buy Rise 2. Everything else is crap.
Okay. Has yours arrived yet?
Or $4,000 for that CS80 from Soundgas. I'll restore it to brand new for $8,500. It's
There you
open
go.
to offers. And RL Music is selling his original Moog 3C 3 cab with twin 960 sequencers for $110,000.
Is that all?
As restored by me. No, do you know what? 6 months ago, that probably would have gone up for $200K.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you see, it's an original 67.
Jeez.
It's like very, 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 very early. So it's got that almost, should we say, RA Moog kind of sound. That vibe.
Okay.
So it's top dog. Because believe it or not, a System 55 sounds a bit thin in comparison.
Yeah.
Dare I say it?
That CS80 though, that barn find. That, I mean, what is it still at about $4,000?
Yeah, it's still about 4K. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and you restore it for $8,500.
Yeah, about that. Because it'll need everything done. I'm going
still-
to replace all that keyboard though. That is a
12.
big-
Say it sold for $4,000. That's $12,500. That's still cheap for a CS80.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah. We just sold another CS80, 35,
Wow.
and the bloke, nearly broke the guy's arm off, just taking the money off him. And
Jeez.
the guy said, "Thank you, bye," and ran off.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah, I think there's another one going for about 45.
Jeez.
There's the silly ones, but
Yeah.
they're just there to try and force the price up more. Nobody's
Yeah.
buying them. So yeah, so buy a Rise and be done with it.
Yeah. And talking of which, I'm assuming it hasn't turned up yet because I'm sure you.
Oh, I got the email this morning about
And that-
7:45 saying, "We have your package. It will be delivered shortly."
but not.
But not today.
No,
today.
not today. No.
No.
So tomorrow.
How's it coming by courier?
Yeah. Apparently
As long
so,
as it's
yeah.
not Royal Mail.
Let's hope it's DPD.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's been done through a company called. Oh no, even I can't remember. But it's a weird name, like Ippy Up or something, or Giddy Up probably.
Giddy up. Oh my
Yeah.
word.
Ding, 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 ding. It's coming by
Very
mule. So
Oh dear.
yeah, so it will be here shortly, and then I'll
Nice.
put
Well-
that video together.
Yes.
Do ABs and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
What
look
exactly
forward
are
to
you
that.
getting in the Rise 2?
Yeah, cool stuff. Well, I think if you've watched this show and not come away with some ideas for what you can either buy the synth nerd in your life for Christmas or treat yourself to with either, if you do what Ian does and buy yourself a Christmas present, which I think is a very good idea,
Yes.
or you spend the cash that grandma gave you in the in your Christmas card. There should be plenty of things there for you to dig your teeth into. And of course, if you have any other suggestions of your own and you're watching this on catch up, then stick them down below in the comments whilst you hit the like button and the subscribe button too, because that would be fair. I think it's a fair trade. Ian, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. I think it's the first time you've been,
It's
isn't
lovely.
it?
It is the first time I've been.
Yeah.
I'm
And hopefully
very
it won't be the
privileged
last.
to be here.
Well,
So thank you very much.
More than welcome. Thank you for bringing your retail expertise and some great recommendations. The links to which will all be in the description below, along with all mine as well. It's going to take me ages to do that one, but we'll do it, and we'll stick it all in there. So stick around, or come back, shall I say, in a day or so, and they'll all be there. next week, we haven't got anything planned for next week, so we might just do news. We might have some random people come in. Who knows? We're getting to Christmas. We're winding down. But we will be doing, I think we're going to be doing shows right up until the 23rd, which I believe is the last Friday before Christmas. And we'll do one, the one in New Year's. And of course, we need to get Metlay back either at the last show of the year or the first show of next year to see if any of our predictions came true from the beginning of this year, and to make some new ones for 2023. I still need to go back and check that out and see how good or bad we did. Don't forget, tomorrow you've got Rands on, which is 1 p.m. UK time, and he'll be there.
I will.
He'll be there. I'll be there too.
Yay!
Along with Chris Dodsworth, because we're going to be talking, because Rands has had his delivered, we're going to be talking sample tracks. And if you are in two minds, I suggest you pop along, because I can't say too much, because I'm not entirely sure how much I am allowed to say. But the guys at Ware have been listening to all of their, all of us backers that have got our units, and we found a few tiny little bugs, and they've been fixed. But there might be some new features. So do join us. And Chris will demonstrate those, because he knows what he's doing. I'm just I'll be learning as well. But
I made a mistake here, because I should have backed this.
You
I should have been there. I mean, I will get one at some point in the future. Again, there's so many things that I want. But hey, that's the same for all of us, isn't it? Yeah. But I should have been there at the beginning of this.
I've had it here sort of like next to me, and every now and again when I get sort of a spare 5 or 10 minutes, I'll sort of lean over and then just do, learn a little bit more. And I'm just learning by doing, which is how I tend to do. I just I don't read through manuals unless I get really stuck. But I've sort of learned the shortcuts and how to. So I'm now I'm finding it quite easy to put things into it. So I just need to put some good things into it now. But have some. Yeah. So Rands 1 o'clock tomorrow. All the usual crowd, and so myself and Chris Dodsworth are going to be jumping on, and I don't know if anybody else sample trek owners are going to be in there. I don't know who he's spoken to, but
I think Andy Synth had it got one.
Yes, he did. Yes.
So and obviously Andy Brooks. Yeah. Andy Brooks has got one as well.
Did he?
Or he ordered one. I don't. Has Andy Brooks actually got his yet?
Oh, he hasn't got his yet. He says here.
Yeah.
But that should be fun. And then, of course, who else have we got? So there should be a Dom show. There should be a Jamie show on Sunday as well.
There is a Jamie show. It's the EMOM special.
Oh yes, of course. That's right.
And
the monthly EMOM thing.
Yeah. He's got Martyn Christie along with some guys from America who have been doing EMOMs over there. So it's really interesting.
Good stuff. Look forward to that. So that's at 6, I believe.
6 o'clock,
6 p.m. UK time. And then Dom should be on about an hour or so after, if he's doing a show. I'm not entirely sure, because he's had a couple of shows off this week. Yeah. Although he did guest host.
He did a great job.
Yeah.
Absolutely great job.
Yeah. So
I think he's saying no Doms this week.
Oh, no Dom this week either. Okay. Well, I mean, Dom's got plenty of content. Of course, he's got the show he does on Wednesdays with Ollie. And Smashed, that's it. So yeah, go and check that out. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Don't know who we're going to have. If we're going to have anyone, it might just be me and Kent, because Ben's going to be off again. Hi Ben, I don't know where you are. But,
hi Ben. Should we dress up as Star Wars characters and just make fart noises at each other for an hour?
Yeah, we could do. Yeah.
Who's going to be Darth Vader?
Somebody. Me. I got the helmet.
He's got a helmet. Yeah.
I got the helmet.
Yeah.
And he's got the Darth Vader mask as well.
helmet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get some cinnamon buns and stick them on the side of my headphones.
Yeah. I want to see that, Rob.
No, you don't.
I do. I want to see
now.
I'll get my missus to put the Return of the Jedi Jabba the Hutt palace outfit on. The Princess Leia thing where she's barely not wearing. Oh, yes. Anyway,
with his spaghetti western outfit, you should have it by now.
Yeah. It'd be like Woody from Toy Story.
Yeah.
Dear, oh dear. Anyway, thank you ever so much, gentlemen. Thanks you, Ian. Thanks for coming on. Come back soon. Thank you as always, Kent.
Thank you.
Hope you feel better soon, mate. And love to Fiona and the dogs as well. And anything fun happening in your world at all?
Some stuff happened this week.
Okay.
I can't talk about it because it's all thingy. But basically, what it was, I put some feelers out,
Mm-hmm.
and a company got back to me. The last company in the world I ever thought would get back to me, asking if I can help them out, and I'm going, okay. So, but I can't say any more than that.
No,
But
that sounds interesting.
wow.
Cool.
So, yeah. So, word to the wise, it doesn't matter whether you don't think you can do it, go and find them up and find out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only way.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's all the stuff that like the guests, like all right. So Steve Porcaro, we had a little bit of help in there, but I would have not thought about even dreaming of asking him to come on the show, and we did, and he said yes. And David Arnold and all the others that we've had, that I just thought, how the hell did we get them? You just email them or you phone them up or whatever, and and they can only say no.
Mm.
And a lot of the time they don't say no, so that's even better.
And no Bagu, it's definitely not Behringer.
Yeah, the Behringer anaglyph. Yeah,
Yeah, because I
Anyway.
can't hold my breath that long. Be like that.
Oh dear. Anyway, listen, thanks, gentlemen. Thank you to everyone that's in the audience. Don't forget to hit that like button if you do, and of course, comment, subscribe, and share as well. That would be fantastic if you do. We'll be back same time, same place next week with some sort of show for you. Yeah, there's plenty of stuff on. And come on, England tomorrow. That'd be good if we can beat the French, but it probably won't. But you never know. That might be fun. And yeah, we'll see you same time, same place next week. Take care. Have a fantastic weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Take care,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye.